Morning world, welcome to Monday 27th of November and hopefully correct settings on that camera now. Okay, on the list of jobs this morning is a refresh for these guys in here, so they'll be chucked out in a minute, so I can do that. We'll do the same next door. We've had a dry-ish week, although I was saying that yesterday. Well, it kind of drizzled all day yesterday, so apart from yesterday, a dry-ish week, apart from yesterday. So the cattle haven't actually needed, I haven't cleaned these guys out for Thursday last week. So yeah, they definitely want doing now, and you can see where they've been traipsing in and out. They've made a mess of here, but the area they lie in, that's okay. Well, it's changing, but it's okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the visit to Concord. I'm very sorry that the video was very dark, and that was simply because I hadn't realized that when I'd been messing around with settings on there, I set the maximum ISO light levels to 100, so everything was dark. So I'm really hoping, touch wood, that is now sorted out. I have set my average to 800 now, or my maximum to 800, so which is where it usually is. Right, you've got plenty in there, you're right for a bit. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. Just want to check the barn here, see if there's any settlement of the Zago. Remember the other day when we took it off, we stoned this up, and instead of using like a geotextile membrane to separate our very soft clay floor in here from the stone, I just used silage wrap, and it seems to have worked perfectly. So yeah, I got rid of a silage bag full, a dumpy bag full of silage wrap for free and made use of it. So yeah, win-win. Right, let's throw this lot out and that would tidy up. So this is going to be pretty much the theme of videos for foreseeable future. Obviously we'll have little calves to deal with soon as well. Something else we've got to do with the cattle is I've signed up to the government health check scheme, where they it's actually the first grant I've applied for a long time. Basically they will pay me £522 a year to have our local vet in to do health checks on the animals, which is basically get them in the crush, general welfare inspection, take blood samples and check them for things like BVD, so bovine viral diarrhea. So yeah, we'll be having vets in at least once a year, and they'll go through the herd, and it's one of those things that apparently we have to do now. So those of you that have a monthly vet check anyway, and you don't have to do it. It's for guys like me that don't need really have a vet check. We don't have problems with our animals, but because of EU regulations, and even though we slaughter animals for our own use, some of the products of those animals, which could be anything, I suppose, from leather to bone meal or anything, could potentially go to the EU. And the EU won't take anything unless it's been vet checked and verified, and there's letters and there's certificates and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things where, fortunately, the government have said, we'll do that for you, but you have to sign up to this thing, and it has to be done to, this standard. It's not a case of, oh, well, we just send a vet in to have a look for a couple of hours a year. No, it has to be, there has to be certain standards that the vets have to do to perform and they have to evidence that and give me the evidence, and I have to present that then to the government, and then they'll pay you the grant. So it's kind of fair enough. It's another job, but I don't mind because it gives me an annual health check on the stock as well. At the moment, my health checks are what I carry out daily with my eyes and maybe my nose, but yeah, so that's that story. Okay, let's get and chuck out some muck. Won't be long now. December, I said, to Tyre Right to come and change the tyres on this machine. So yeah, it won't be long. New boots. I've opened the gate the wrong way. Bugger. We'll correct that error in a minute. Let's get the rest of this out first. Right, should go over that without too much difficulty, hopefully. Go on. Right, that way. Right, that's 99% of the muck out. There you go. So I've had a couple of folks say to me, why don't you leave it in there and just keep piling it up? Deep litter, because obviously it warms up and it creates a warm bed for them. I could do that, but like I've mentioned before, I would have real issues then using the hurdles, moving those, because once that builds up, they're stuck in there, especially if the muck gets around these bottom bars, and I want to be able to move this stuff around. If something goes off or something goes wrong and I need to either move this or take it apart and rebuild something else, I need to have that ability. Also, the height of the crush, obviously this stays in here. I could take the crush out and just put this in should I need it and give the guys all this space. I could do that. And maybe sometime in the future, either I've got some room over there, I'll have a redesign and rethink about things, but right now this is what works for me. So the other thing is with taking the muck out regularly, especially when it's a bit dry, I'll come back for that bit, it just soaks up the wet stuff outside. In here, this isn't too bad. I mean, a lot of people would be quite happy to let their cattle lie on that for another day, and that's okay. I mean, they are clean. But my issue is this stuff. All of that. We don't have a pit. We don't really have a good process of which to handle this. So, so the easiest way for me to pick this up is to mix it with that. It goes in our midden heap, and then we'll turn that, and then when it's dry enough, if it gets dry enough and it's not too late in the year and the government says we're not allowed to, and there might be some days when we don't have the camera out, if they're dry, depending on the time of year, then we move the muck heap. So it is what it is. So, right. So, move that last bit of muck up there I missed, come in with a couple of bucketfuls of freshest chip, then some straw over the top, and that should be just done for, it's Monday today. I don't reckon we'll have to come back in here if the weather stays like this before Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. We'll see what the weather does. Stuff if I can, so we'll get that in there. I could use fresh, we could use fresh, but I prefer not to have it going in there too green. We don't allow any toxic chip tipped in there. Laurel is a bit toxic, but I have seen cattle munch their way through an entire laurel bush and walk away like nothing. But when it's like this, there's nothing in there they want to eat. There's no interest in them to eat this, so it's just that little bit of extra bit of safety. If they don't want to lick it or chew it or eat it, it's just better. Okay, that's that. Now I could just leave it like that and have just the wood chip. And in the past, that's what we've done, is literally just the wood chip. But this year, we don't have as much chip as we do normally. The tree company hasn't been as busy this year, and we haven't produced as much chip as usual. Now, some of that is down to some of the bigger jobs the customers wanted to keep it. We've sold a bit. Our neighbours come and have some for their chickens because it gets mucky. So there's been more demand this year for a smaller supply. So, which is why we decided to hedge our bets and bring home 65 bales of straw from our own wheat. So only a thin layer of wood chip and a thin layer of straw on top of that, and that seems to last. Although some people would call it labour intensive because I do it by hand, this bit. It's not worth even thinking about buying a straw spreader for me. I don't think so. I'd have to keep it in the dry or something else to keep under cover, and for 10 minutes work every few days, it's not worth it for me. So nice idea. I won't say I haven't thought about it, but no. This bale has lasted nearly 2 weeks, which is good, because at that rate I might have some left over for next year. So I'm only bedding up top end of the barn really. Some of them do lie down there. I'll put some against that fence over there because I like to lie in the sun in the afternoon, but I won't bother this bit just here because that's where they walk in and out. It gets mucky. They don't lie on it. There's no point. Last one. Sorry. I've cracked my head on that more than a few times. I have to duck. And I've also cracked my head on these guys a couple of times. Another reason for keeping the litter layer low, but it hurts. So now, every time I go underneath that, even though that one won't reach me, I still duck. That's one of those lessons. Pain's a great teacher. It teaches you, don't do that again. Right, this should be the last bud. And I've got string tangled around my feet, I can feel it. Am I going to go a pisser? Okay. That's exactly how I wanted it. So, right, we will let them back in here. They'll happily come back in here. They won't be hungry because they've been out all morning. They can come back in here. I'll shut them out. I'm going to push that pile in there, mix it all up with the slurry, take some of it out, leave a little bit in. Yeah, and out of this side, done. Then it'll be coffee time and that side. So yeah, and it'll be the same, like I say, in a couple of days time, and then again next weekend, or if it rains, sooner. Welcome to my daily routine. All right, you lot, let's get you cleaned up in here. Come on. Go on. I had a comment the other day saying, what was the difference between slurry in a stone yard and slurry in a concrete yard? And I think the answer was nothing. Slurry is slurry. It's just that in a concrete yard, usually you've got somewhere to push it to. So if you've got a squeegee pusher, you need a hole to push it into, or yeah, a hole. We don't have a hole. Until the last year or so, we didn't have enough cattle to even contemplate thinking about a hole. Will we have a hole in the future? Possibly. But if we do, we've got to decide where we're going to put it, because holes are normally downhill, which means I would have to lose some grass to make that hole. Basically a slurry lagoon, slurry pit, earthbound pit, whatever you want to call it. And then once you've done that, you have to find a way of dealing with, managing that muck. So at the moment, the way I do it, like this, I can do everything myself. I don't need any extra equipment. I don't need any outside assistance, as in contracts or that. And on a stone floor, I don't have quite as many rules and regulations. to comply to as I would if I had concrete. So yeah, so right now there's lots of reasons not to concrete this. Plenty of reasons to keep it in stone. Go on, in you go. Go on 325, last as usual. So the only downside is with concrete and a hole to push everything into, you can make this nice and squeaky clean and it looks lovely. With stone, I can't do that. But if you did a time lapse, if I squeegeed this as a concrete yard and let the cattle back out, within 3 hours, it would look exactly the same as a stone yard. Do you understand that? They'll come out and they'll crap all over it. It's exactly the same. So, which is why concrete yards have to be cleaned every day as well. I don't know. Everyone's an expert and everyone's got way more money than I have to create all the things that would make life perfect. So, unfortunately, I don't think one lifetime is going to be long enough for me to do that. What was it someone said a while ago? It takes 4 generations to build a farm. 1 to ruin it. On this farm, I'm generation number 1. So everything you see here, apart from the big barn that the old man built over there, everything is what we built. And now I've got to answer the phone. Okay, I might have not bothered with a cup of coffee and just gone on and done the other side as well. It started to rain and I thought, oh, they're shut out in the wet, I might as well get on with it. So that's what I did. Right, have I parked too close? No, we're okay. So yeah, that's both sides now got fresh beds. Cows are quite happily, well, apart from the one that's looking at me, quite happily led down in there chewing the cud. This lot are about to come in. They've got a deeper layer of wood chip, and yes, on this side they have got the greener stuff. They're not quite so delicate as the cows. So, right, I need to open that, open that, open that, and when everything is open, I can shut manure. That make sense? Yeah. So, I'll open you. Pin you back. On your noggin, mate. On your noggin. That's it. Come on. We'll do the yard later. As long as I got somewhere to get out of the muck into the dry, that's all I'm really worried about for a minute. Go on. Come on. Okay. So we've opened this gate and now we've shut it again. Now we'll open that gate. I know. Me and my gates. Don't get behind it, because now you've got to go all the long way around. Yep, you had to do it, didn't you? So, come on, get your head round. Get your head round. Other way. Go on. Go on. Go on, stupid. This is why I don't feel guilty eating them. And then finally, we'll open that gate and that'll shut them in. Go on, Mush. That way. Go on, good shot. See, a lot of my gates are either open or shut or open. It kind of depends on which way you look at it. That's it. Patrick's happy. Everybody else is happy. That's it. They go in there and kick it about and chuck it about and dig it up, muck about, and crap on it. Yeah, that'll be. Hello, darling. Hello, little sweetheart. Hello, little sweetheart. No. All right then. Hello, Rosie. Yeah, you are a pretty girl, aren't you? I reckon they're happy. And as for that lot, they're definitely happy. They are more than content. Nice and dry, nice and clean. That's how we like it. Right, I'm going to finish off getting the rest of that rubbish out of the yard, or most of it, and then we'll have our cup of coffee. Or got those hooligans in there. That's it. We're done. Well, for this morning anyway. I say this morning. It's actually nearly dinner time. Okay, everybody in there seems more than contented. More than happy. We'll open the gate, let them back in the yard. Everything now has a clean, dry bed, and the cows have a clean yard. Yeah, I could probably get more off with a yard scraper, but like I said, where am I going to push it to? And I've still got to pick it up. There's no hole, so I have to pick it up. So for me, the bucket works. It's not spotless, but it's blooming good enough. So, yeah. Right, on that note, I'm going to call that the morning. Go and get my overalls off, have something to eat, and maybe I'll see you after lunch. So I wondered how long it'd be before I got a phone call from Marley. So, remember Marley from TH White's? He was supposed to be bringing me down a New Holland skid steer to play with. Oh, back in the summer. Well, he forgot. And I might have mentioned it, that he'd forgotten, in a video a few days ago. And the fact that I'm quite likely going to go and have a play on a bobcat. Unfortunately, bobcat won't bring a machine to me. I've got to go and play up in their yard. Don't know if I can film that or not. So, so apparently the parts man at TH White's, I don't know his name. Is it Steve? Sean? I don't know, whatever. And apparently the parts man, thank you Mr. Parts Man, has given Marley a nudge, you know, a sharp poke in the ribs, and said, you better get on with Mr. Pullen. And he has. So apparently before lunchtime on Thursday, which is only a couple of days away, he is bringing me down their demo skid steer, New Holland skid steer, can't remember the model number, for me to have a play with for a week. So I have told him, I said, look, no, we were going to do this in the summer when everything was clean and the cattle weren't in. Now we're in the winter months, cattle are in, it's possible it might get a little bit heaty. So, but apparently the guys have been using it up around the yard up there, and they've already dinged and dented it and knocked some of the paint off. So he said a bit of muck isn't going to do any harm. So after all that, we might be having a demo New Holland skid steer machine here for a week, Thursday. Unless of course he forgets again. I can hear him, but I can't see him. He's up there somewhere in that fluffy thing. Right, anyway, so we're back down the yard. I've been messing around at the house for the last hour or so. Had some stuff in the office, wasn't really important to get done, but it's just one of those things, once it's done, it's done. Just had a conversation with, I can't tell you. No, I haven't, forget that bit. Right, we've got a load of green waste just come in from one of my old bosses actually, years and years ago. In fact, the place where I learnt to drive a skid steer, Wotton tar paving, I was their skid steer pilot on the tarmac. Long time ago that was. Anyway, we're going to get into my skid steer now. Well, probably are. We're going to have a look at the yard first, but I think we're going to have a little scratch about in the yard at the back of there. I've changed tactics a little bit around there. We've been cleaning it out as much as possible round the back, well, up to now, but it seems that as they're getting a little bit of waste and a bit of build-up, they're actually keeping their feet cleaner. So I might actually not take out as much. This yard wants doing again, but I might only pull back just the top side here and that slurry bit there and leave what they're standing on, because they're not standing in they're not standing in this. So yeah, I think that's going to be the plan. Go on, get in. In you go. Go on. Go on. There's a glove down there. Where'd that come from? Has it got a red band on it? Because I'm missing one with a red band. Don't think I'll be wearing it today. Now I know where it went though. We'll come back for you in just a minute. Yeah, I forgot to charge him for the last load they tipped off, so he's just reminded me. So yeah, sorry about that, Paul. You're going to get billed for two, not one. I get a distinct feeling that the cows would like some of that, because they've all just come strolling in. As soon as I started undoing that bag and they got a sniff of it, they've all come strolling in and they're all there looking at it, going, why can't we have some of that? Well, I'll tell you why, because it'll make them shitty, and they're fat enough already. They're carrying calves. I do not need them putting on any more weight right now, and they'll gorge themselves on that. The hay is kind of slowing them down a little bit. I want them to be able to push these calves out without any assistance from me. So until they've had their calves, they can stick with the hay. They've probably got enough in there to last until tomorrow morning, but not definitely. So I know they're wasting some. I know all this is wastage, but it's also keeping their feet clean. So right now, just going to suffer a bit of waste. Make sure there's no net left out there. Okay. Right, go let them back in, and the time is almost 4 o'clock. And it's getting dark already. I'll come back for that and put that where they can't reach it, because they'll have that in there doing all sorts of mischief with it, given half a chance. Right, okay. We're gonna open and close the gate. Have you got it now? Have you sussed out what it is? Hello, mate. Goes over there. Right. So, opening this one. That's now open. And closing this one. Just happens to be the same gate. While I think about it, I think it's a flat edge screwdriver, but it might be a Phillips. So, hello mate. Sorry, don't worry about me. It could be either, I can't tell from here. I think it's a Phillips. Right, just to hedge our bets, we'll take that one and that one. Can you guess what I'm doing it? So basically, the bulb has gone in that light up there. It's no longer doing its job. I need a new bulb up there. You're this. Anything in there? Feels very low. Oh, there's a bulb in there. Okay, there you go. And that is right. So that's the same bulb as taken out. So on there it should tell me how I dispose of it when I get my glasses. Not now. I think I've got about 10 minutes to do this before it'd be too blinking dark. I won't be able to see what I'm doing, so yeah, a bit dodgy climbing about on gates in in dark. This shouldn't take too long though. We're in time. So there's a answer to a puzzle. How many farmers does it take to change a light bulb? Answer is 1. Okay, we'll just make sure it works. Oh God. Right, that can go back on there. We now have a bulkhead light at this end of the barn. Bloody marvellous. Not too tight, so the plastic's getting a bit tired on here now. Job done. Don't fall. Don't fall. Don't make a tit of yourself. Okay, so we have one more light to fix, and that's down that end, which we will do, but the cattle chewed the cable on that, so I don't want to put the same cable back because it's just normal indoor flex. I want to find a piece of armoured, and I know we've got some here somewhere, so when I come across it or find it, we'll rewire that switch down there with a piece of armoured cable that the cattle can't chew, or we'll do something to protect the cable. One or the other. We'll make it so it's cow-proof. So, but yeah, that's that light sorted out. And you can go down there. I don't need to put this gate in here. It doesn't need to be here. And something's just telling me to do it. I don't know what it is, but I have learnt the hard way that when something in the back of my head tells me to do something, I should usually listen to it. So I don't think anybody's going through that gate down there. Nobody is escaping out of there, and nobody should escape out of here. But something is telling me, close this gate. So I listened, I did it. Right. Place for everything, and everything in its place.